Back a while ago when our good old pal the Switch was first announced and launched, I'm gonna be real with you guys, I wasn't happy they were ditching my beloved Wii U. Back then, I was just a wee youngster, not even in middle school, who didn't understand two very important things. A. Most game systems only last 4 to 6 years before being replaced by better hardware, and B. That the Wii U was a huge flop, and that 10-year-old me was one of about 7 people who owned one. However, about a year into the Switch's release, I started looking a little closer, and I realized, oh shit, this Mario game looks absolutely phenomenal. Oh, that Splatoon game looks like a big upgrade to the Splatoon I've played. Hey, Breath of the Wild looks great to play on portably. Why do I have to play it on this big screen controller? I've never even played a handheld system before. It's probably so fun. I want those. Kirby, my beloved, you look as beautiful as the last time I dusted off this masterpiece. 3.5 months of straight, constant begging to my parents to get me a Nintendo Switch later, and then on June 20th, 2018, the evening before my 12th birthday, at dinner, my parents showed me a long string of yarn that led throughout the house, supposedly leading to something at the end. I followed that string through the entire damn place until eventually it led to my parents' room, aka the only place that they could effectively hide something from me. There, I found a box. A Nintendo Switch box. In it held my beloved Switch, which I wanted so dearly, along with a screen protector, a Pro Controller, a Joy-Con grip, and 3 games. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, so that then I had a game to play against each other. A copy of the oh-so-beautiful Splatoon 2, which somehow managed to be so much better than the game I so much loved already. And the third game, the one which pushed me into begging my parents like this in the first place. A copy of Kirby Star Friggin' Allies. I know it's short and easy, but I was shit at games when I was 12, okay? So the easiness was welcome. As for the length of it, I have 25 hours in that game. You underestimate how much I love Kirby. My Switch hype meter has never been quite as high as it was since then, but I can still confidently say that this is the best console I've had by an extremely wide margin. And it keeps pumping out quality games along with the occasional, why is this $60, Nintendo? But besides that, Pokemon Let's Go was beautiful and nostalgic, Smash Ultimate was better than any fighting game has any right to be, Yoshi's Crafted World, I'm just gonna say this, I like it better than Woolly World, Kings of Hyrule, the best Zelda game, you can't change my mind. Fire Emblem 3 Houses, great gateway for me into the series. Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm not really into the puzzle genre, but I still found it absolutely stunning. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Nintendo definitely fabricated COVID-19 just so they could get people inside planets. I mean, look, I know Animal Crossing was a top seller, but Jesus Christ, that is higher than the entire Kirby series combined. Kirby in the Forgotten Land, hell yeah. Pokemon Legends Arceus, phenomenal Pokemon game. Starlink, fuck yes. Metroid Dread, I just peed myself a little remembering that that game wasn't just a dream. But the thing is, this glorious Switch journey started 6 years ago, and we're in the 7th year. Most game systems last 4 to 6 years, and I guess Nintendo handhelds usually last a bit longer, but even then, there is emphasis on usually. Last year, Nintendo managed to keep our attention with a nutty release schedule with some really good shit, and also Nintendo Switch Sports. But this year, our schedule is Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, Advance Wars, and we've already gotten Octopath 2, Fire Emblem, and 2 remakes of some of my favorite games ever made. Now, all of those are great. Pikmin, Zelda, Octopath, and those beauties are all awesome. But that's not a lot of games for this year. Not to mention they're all in the first half of the year. The latest one is Pikmin 4 in July. We're not getting anything from August to December. On top of that, Nintendo's not attending E3 this year, and I highly doubt we're getting a solo direct instead. If we were, well then, why wouldn't they just do E3? No, it seems like the first half of 2023 is our last batch of first-party Nintendo games for the Switch before Nintendo throws in the towel. It makes sense anyways. I mean, Nintendo Switch games can look good. They have looked good. There's a lot of them that look really visually pleasing. But then it's also quite common for there to be a Pokemon or Fire Emblem game who can't just manage to figure out how to optimize the outdated hardware like other games have. Meanwhile, a lot of the games on the new systems not only run perfectly, but they also put even the good-looking Switch games to shame. I'm still happy with how these look, but damn! I doubt Nintendo's next console will look as good as they are, since it's probably still going to be hybrid and they're going to have to compact it into the handheld format. But it's still going to have a significant boost in hardware power that lets the Nintendo Switch developers, who have already practically perfected the old hardware, to make new games that look fucking good, even with a hardware level on par with, say, PS4. So we've already established that Nintendo's definitely got a new console in the works, but the question is, what will be on it? Will it have the potential to live up to the hype levels that the Nintendo Switch had? Okay, probably not. But will it have higher levels of popularity than, say, the 3DS? Well, to understand that, we'll have to speculate on what the new system will be like. What games will it have? What features will it have to make it better than the Switch besides more powerful hardware? Will the Virtual Console be back? Well, let's take a look. So we'll need a name to call this new theoretical console. And no, I'm not calling it the Switch 2. I want Nintendo to be more creative with this. Anyways, my theory is that this new console will be spherical, and they'll position it as a spiritual successor to the Nintendo GameCube, called the Game Globe. Okay, no, I'm kidding. I'll be calling it the Nintendo Neo for now, and I'll be estimating its launch date as February 2024. I will now be doing a mix between estimates for the release of games in each series on the system, and predictions built off of anything from semi-educated guesses to wild shots in the dark. Enjoy! So, what will the Neo have at launch? Well, for one, Mario is crucial early in a Nintendo console's life, and surprisingly, we haven't actually gotten a ton of them on the Switch. We've got plenty of spin-offs and plenty of ports, but in terms of mainline Mario games, we've got Mario Odyssey all the way back in 2017, and then I guess also Bowser's Fury, which wasn't even a full game. It was a new mini-campaign added to the 3D World port. So, clearly the 3D Mario people have to have been working on something. My theory is that they're going to build off what Bowser's Fury. It's going to be a new sandbox Mario, like Odyssey was, but instead of being Mario Odyssey 2 with Cappy, having another action gimmick like Flood or the Spin Attacking Galaxy, power-ups will be coming back. It will still be the sandbox Mario, but it will have a lot of emphasis on power-ups like 3D World, 3D Land, and the 2D games. This is my theory. Frankly, I am all for it. That'll be stupid fun. So, Super Mario on the Neo will be a sandbox Mario with power-ups as the game's gimmick, and will be coming in the game's first year. Then there's also the new Super Mario Bros. Series to discuss. Now, New Super Mario Bros. Has had its fair share of conundrums, mainly with the lack of newness between each entry, and the fact that it only got a port to the Switch instead of a full new 2D Mario game, which is a shame, because the Switch has a tendency to pump out a bunch of godsends, and I think it could have been a good opportunity for 2D Mario to pick up its slack. But of course, it didn't. However, it might on the Neo. Say they try and make a 2D Mario less like the 2D Mario of old, instead try to make it something in the style of one of the old 3D Mario games with a much larger scope. Since I doubt they'll make a 2D Mario Metroidvania and will probably still want to keep the core focus on platforming, I say they might make the next 2D Mario game somewhat like Mario Galaxy. Still a linear get to the end game, but with the path to the end winding through every direction with a structure that lets you pick from multiple missions and have multiple missions to do in each level. Also, as a reverse to what the 3D Mario game would be doing, this game wouldn't have very many power-ups at all, instead putting emphasis on a new action gimmick like the 3D games tend to do. Maybe Cappy in 2D? That'd be fun as fuck. So, New Super Mario Neo will be a 2D Mario game in the style of Galaxy with an action gimmick instead of power-ups, and will be releasing in the Neo's second year, so as to not flood the first year with Mario games. Anyways, before I move on to the other series, I also have to talk about Mario Kart. Mario Kart 9, July 2024, it will be a Mario Kart again. It will have some new cool gimmick or mode or something to make it different. Maybe it'll have the mission mode from Mario Kart DS. Next. Legend of Zelda. Zelda games take a long time to make. Tears of the Kingdom is an asset reusing sequel, and it's been 6 years. So, I think it's safe to say, since Tears of the Kingdom is coming out on the Switch's last year, that we're not getting a 3D Zelda on the Neo for at least the first half of its life. However, 2D Zelda, on the other hand, has not popped up since 2019 with the Link's Awakening remake. So my prediction is another remake, this time Link to the Past. And instead of a toy art style, they'll be going full realism here, or at least a similar art style to Link Between Worlds. Everything will still probably be chibi-sized, but other than that, it will look much more realistic. Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past Neo will release on the Neo early in its first year, probably the first big new game that wasn't a launch title. Pokemon. What will Pokemon be showing here? Well, they did just do Gen 9, so I'm guessing Gen 10 will be soon, probably. Pokemon's been cranking out games faster than they should be for quality's sake lately. But my guess is that the next system's first Pokemon will be a new Pokemon Legends game. Specifically, Pokemon Legends Rayquaza. It will be amazing. We'll get new Draconid lore. We will see Sky Pillar when it's only just been built. We're gonna see Groudon and Kyogre fight again. It will be amazing. I like the Hoenn region, if you can't tell. Pokemon Legends Rayquaza will be released late during the Neo's first year. Splatoon. We only just got Splatoon 3 last year, and while they did crank out Splatoon 2 a couple years after Splatoon 1 for Switch, I don't think they're going to be able to do that again. Splatoon 4 would have to mix things up quite a bit. So, I think we'll be getting first year Splatoon, but not first year Splatoon 4. Instead, we'll be getting Splatoon 3 Deluxe. Yes, I know that unlike all the Wii U ports on Switch, most Switch games sold great, so doing a port again will be very unwise, especially since the Neo is probably going to be backwards compatible. But we're talking about Nintendo, who is famously stubborn. After seeing it work the first time, they'll try it again, and it will probably bite them in the ass. Hopefully it doesn't fuck the Splatoon franchise. Probably not. The other game sold crazily enough for them to let it slide. And Splatoon 3 Deluxe will probably sell well anyways if it's a first year release. So, Splatoon 3 Deluxe will be releasing on the Neo probably within like a month of launch, and will sell like 2 to 4 million copies, giving Nintendo the hint that they should drop the whole port thing. Donkey Kong. We haven't gotten a new one since Tropical Freeze in 2014, which, by the time this new system releases, will be 10 years old. Now, I'm not a DK fan, but why has Nintendo neglected this series for so long? It's not like Star Fox or F-Zero. It sells really fucking well, actually. I know Retro Studios has been busy with Prime 4, but can Nintendo really not find a new studio? Anyways, I predict a new 3D Donkey Kong game will come out around the Neo's first holiday season. Hopefully, it will be one that's better received than DK64. As a matter of fact, I predict it will have DK fans going bonkers. Donkey Kong Neo will be on the Nintendo Neo in the holiday season of its first year. Kirby! If you couldn't tell from the intro, I love this pink puffball more than I love my country, which is why it pains me to say we probably won't see it very early in the Neo's life. We got Forgotten Land only about a year ago, and we got a 2D Kirby last month. Sure, that was an enhanced port, but it was a good enhanced port with a Magolor epilogue that had to take some effort. So, I think it'll be a hot minute until we see a new Kirby game, especially a new 3D one. Probably sometime in 2026 at the earliest, if I had to guess. I don't have much to predict about what it will be like. Star Allies had a bunch of new story stuff building off of the Dark Matter saga, the Clockwork Stars, and the Master Crown, so maybe Kirby Neo will crank that up even further. Also, perhaps it will do something similar to what I predict with the new Super series, have a structure more similar to Mario Galaxy than what Forgotten Land had, which contained echoes of Mario 3D World instead. These are just shots in the dark though, I really have no idea. All I know is that I'm excited, and can't wait to play more of that Magolor epilogue once I'm done with this. Metroid. Probably my favorite Nintendo franchise. Prime, Dread, Super, Zero Mission, I love them all to death. And you better bet your sweet asses I'm pumped as fuck for Metroid Prime 4. My predictions about it is that Planet Hopping will be back, and that Phazon will be back. Then also, as we know from the post-credit scene teasers in Prime 3 and Federation Force, Sylux is the villain, he has a baby Metroid, and that's all we know. I could speculate more, but nah. All I'm gonna guess is that it's gonna be a launch title for the Neo, and it's gonna be cross-gen with the Switch, like Breath of the Wild was. And since it's a launch title on what's probably gonna be a really big system, it's probably gonna double the numbers of the best-selling Metroid game already. Now, that's not all for Metroid. We need to also think about the 2D games. Dread was 2021, which was semi-recent, but with the Neo in 2024, it will be 3 years by that year's holiday season. That's more than enough to make a 2D game. But what if Mercury Steam was making 2 2D games to make it so that the Metroid series didn't get clogged in 2024? I predict Mercury Steam has been splitting its work on 2 games, a remake for Metroid Fusion and a sequel to Metroid Dread. I predict the Dread sequel will be named Powers Metroid, or Hadar Sen's Metroid. The Makin Chozo and the X-Parasites will be returning as baddies, and they'll be introducing both planet hopping and the scan visor into the 2D series. Okay, I don't actually think that they'll do the scan visor thing, but I'm damn well hoping for it. Powers Metroid will be coming to the Neo in the middle of its 2nd year, and the Metroid Fusion remake, titled Metroid Parasitic Fusion, will be releasing late in the Neo's 1st year. Star Fox. I honestly think Nintendo's canning this series. It hasn't sold well since the GameCube. Its last few games have done horribly. It pains me to say this, but I think it's just done. 07, Star Fox. 07. Pikmin. More bad news here, though not as bad as Star Fox. More of a Kirby situation this time. Since Pikmin 4 is coming out really close to the end of the Switch's life, and these games clearly take a long time to develop, I think we're going to be seeing Pikmin 5 around 2027, 2028, 2026 at the absolute earliest. Possibly, though, we'll get a remaster of the first or second games from GameCube, or we'll get a Metroid Prime treatment with the Trilogy Collection. Actually, I really like that idea. Pikmin Trilogy, remasters of Pikmin 1, 2, and 3, releasing early in the Neo's 2nd year. F-Zero. F-Zero has been at the bottom of Nintendo's priority list since 2004. Will it ever get back up again? Probably not. But maybe we'll see a new F-Zero? I'll be optimistic. F-Zero Neo will have 30-player online multiplayer, a story mode, 5 different cups to choose from instead of 3, and it will further flesh out the racing combat aspects. Probably also with a more refined death race mode. Maybe also a 30-player online death race. That would be so chaotic, oh my goodness. F-Zero Neo will be released as a launch title for the Nintendo Neo alongside Prime 4. Smash Bros. You've all been waiting for this one, I know it. I don't actually have a ton to say. I love the shit out of Smash Bros, but I'm not a competitive player and I didn't do very much of World of Light, but I'll do my best. Smash Neo will once again have every fighter from every past Smash game, along with new guys, like Bandanity and Magolor from Kirby, Ravenbeak and Sylex from Metroid, Blaziken and the Scarlet Violet legendaries for Pokemon, some new F-Zero racers, Sans will show up as an actual fighter instead of a Mii skin, and it will be amazing and blow everybody's minds. And, of course, Waluigi will be there finally. Larger than any of that, though, something very important will happen. Samus will finally be wearing a non-Other M power suit and her fighter model. And we'll all cry tears of joy. Additionally, there will be a new campaign mode like World of Light, but in this campaign mode, they'll each have each different enemy from all the games to be actually coded in, instead of having fighters from each game with color changes and slight property alterations. Anyways, there's a lot more Nintendo franchises I know little about, so I'm just gonna spitball a bit. Xenoblade Chronicles 4 will be released in 2027, but there will be a port of Xenoblade X on the Neo in 2025. Fire Emblem will get its next game in 2026, 2027. The next Animal Crossing game will release conveniently when global warming gets to the point where it's too hot to go outside, and therefore everybody will stay inside to play Animal Crossing, which will then sell 20 million units. Mario Sports will happen at some point. Probably 2026. I don't have a lot for that year. A new Kirby remaster will come in 2027. Kid Icarus will get a new game in 2026, and Uprising fans will cheer with joy. Generation 10 of Pokemon will also come out in 2026. Now for predictions about how the system works itself. For one, they'll finally add the music from the download as the eShop background theme. The system itself will be similar to the Switch. The base color design for the Joy-Cons will be light blue, with the console being purple. A bit bulkier than the Switch to allow for stronger hardware, along with the hardware also being more compact. This will allow for the system specs to be somewhere between the PS4 and the PS5 in power, probably closer to PS4. But the bulkier design would probably also affect how the buttons feel, which would start feeling somewhat more like the Pro Controller does. There would also be controller handles on back of the new Joy-Cons, and the new grip, which would come with the system now, would basically just connect the new Joy-Cons without also having the bits where you hang on to. And there'd be a way to charge the Joy-Cons through the grip. With the grip, the Joy-Cons would essentially work like a Pro Controller. Also, Joy-Con drift would be gone at this point. The system's handheld mode would now also contain an AR camera for AR stuff, and a microphone for online voice chat. The new system's online would probably be better. The price would still be $20 a year, but the online connection wouldn't suck on every game that isn't Splatoon or a select few other games. They'd still have the classic game libraries available through Nintendo Switch Online. They'd all be through the regular Switch Online now. They wouldn't be some of them through the expansion. And the libraries will be released very quickly after one another, everything from NES to GameCube, and from Game Boy to the DS. Additionally, if someone doesn't have Switch Online, they would be able to buy each of these classic games individually on the eShop, with prices ranging from $2 for NES games and Game Boy games, and $15 for GameCube games. There's been rumors that the Neo won't be backwards compatible with the Switch due to issues with their new operating system. I believe they'll find a way around this, but not without issue. Since there's operating system issues, there will be a new application on the Neo titled Switch Games, which will allow you to play your Switch cartridges on the Neo and transfer some of your downloads over from your Switch, or even access the Switch's eShop. But this won't be without a price, and it will be a big one. You'll need to have their online service to access the backwards compatibility. As for the system's success, the early days of its launch will be somewhat lean levels of excitement, and it will sell decently well but not crazily well. Metroid Prime 4 at launch will be a big deal, but it is a pretty niche series and also will be available on the Switch as well. Of course, being a launch title will help its case in the sales department, and Prime 4 may very well sell double or even triple the amount of the previous best-selling Metroid game. People will be happy about F-Zero, but it's even more niche to an extreme level. Splatoon 3 Deluxe won't be a huge deal, since people already have Splatoon 3 on the Switch. While it will be the worst selling Splatoon, it will still sell decently. The Link to the Past remake will also be well received, but it is a remake and it's 2D Zelda, not 3D Zelda. It won't be a system seller. However, by the holidays of 2024, when Legends Rayquaza and the 3D Donkey Kong game are all released around then, with the 3D Mario and Mario Kart having released that summer, it will suddenly start flying off the shelves. So that's my predictions for the next Nintendo system. Will I be right about any of this? Maybe about some of the broad stuff. I'm fairly confident in the prediction about the next 3D Mario. Less so about the next 2D Mario, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try and make the next one take a bit more out of the 3D games. Then the guesses about stuff like Zelda is just a shot in the dark, and my F-Zero theory is just wishful thinking. As is Prime 4 being a launch title, I feel like it's more likely to be late in the Neo's first year, honestly, but optimism, am I right? What do you guys think? Am I going to be completely wrong about everything? Am I just straight up a prophet and I got everything right, and Nintendo's going to be calling me out for leaking later? Do you think that Nintendo isn't even going to be making a next console? Or do you think that the next console they are going to be making isn't going to be anything like the Switch? Or maybe it's going to be exactly like the Switch and they're just going to call it the Switch too? What do you guys think? I mean, yeah, put your predictions in the comments as well. I mean, if we make enough wild shots in the dark, then eventually one of them is going to be right. So, go ahead. Thank you for watching.